What's up, everyone? Today we have a Stihl cutter here. It's a TS500i. Apparently does not start, and that's the extent of what I know about it. Yeah, let's say that's like the greatest compression in the world. It's also probably the worst. What I do want to do is I want to take that plug off and take a look at the fuel tank and just see what we have going on here. If the eyes are the window to the soul, then the fuel tank is the window to the two-cycle. It's gas. I don't smell anything though, so I guess could be a good sign. Yeah, let's pour a little bit of. Let's take off this cover and see what happens. Now, obviously, not every time. Oh, wrong size. Not every time, but a good section of times. The problem is the spark. Wow, that's dirty. Really dirty. It's also really hard to test spark. It's that plastic cover. I might just get a spark indicator. Change the plan, let's just do this. I don't see anything. And that's grounded. Sometimes, if you pull on these wires, you can find one that's not seated all the way. So we're going to very carefully do this. I don't remember which one it is. To be honest, this isn't something I work on too often. No. 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 Let's just try a different plug. This one is at least cleaner. Oh, it also dislodged itself. should be running. So we have a spark issue. Sometimes it's one of these boards, or when the connections are just bad. Let me look into this real quick. Here's the unfortunate part. I took the cover off. If there's no spark, I'm going to test it again. But usually it's this module that's bad. It could be a connection or two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here, look at all these connections, and make sure they're okay. Sometimes the couple I have worked on, I noticed that there's just like a wire dangling off here. That's why I pulled on it. Usually it's like this one or the one next to it. It's on this white one. I can't remember if it was that white one or that white one. I went back and looked, and it's usually this white one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these off. I don't think you really need to see me inspect all of them. So we're just going to look at all the connections, all the pins, everything, make sure they're okay. And if they are, it's going to be a short video. Put everything back, connected everything, pushed all the connections real in there. I got my air compressor and blew everything together, so it should be fully, I don't know, connected thoroughly. Everything is clean. I took the ground and I cleaned it. Everything is good. The only thing that's kind of a question to me is the spark plug. So I'm just going to put in a different one. Because that is pretty nasty. This should be the same. Yeah, it's the same. Well, kind of the same. Okay, so let me explain why I said this is going to be a short video if this doesn't work. This doesn't have a carburetor, it's an injected engine. And we're dealing with no spark. If there's no fuel, we can get into injectors, fuel lines, filters, the same thing, just instead of carb you have an injector, more or less. Now, here's the problem with that. Because we don't have spark, it's actually more like the little module for spark. Now, for whatever reason, I can find those almost any time of the year. Usually on like eBay. I think I one time found something on Amazon, or maybe like e-replacement parts. I don't remember. But the one time I did find it, it was like 140, 50, 60. I don't remember. It was $100 something. So it's expensive, but this is also a pretty expensive saw. You see the dilemma. But for whatever reason, I can't find it. Granted, I spent all of 10 minutes looking for it, and I'm not going to even begin to entertain the idea unless it doesn't start. So if it doesn't, then we should be good. Like I said, I've worked on 3 or 4 of these, and all but one needed that, did not need that part. So one needed it, one did not, one just had the loose wire. I don't really know what's going on there, but it happens. Probably just an increased vibration. But let's give it a pull, see what happens. See what happens. seems like it's fine to me. I also want to show this. This is what came out of it. It's like purple. So that tells me it's either very old, good fuel, or it was mixed between two different types of mixed fuel. Some oils are red, some are blue. I mean, that really shouldn't matter, but it is pretty dark. So at the very least, someone put too much oil in there, but most likely it's just really, really old and hasn't been ran for a while. So, I mean, this has nothing to do with Spark, obviously, but the fact that this ran with this in there is pretty, I don't know, amazing in my book. Let me see if I have one of the little screens. So before I empty it out, I do have a screen, but that was in there as well, just to kind of show you a little additional amazingness. Okay, so now this should just fit right over. Then the screws we took out, or I took out while you were sweeping, should just squish it down, and then we should be good to go. So I feel like I kind of, I don't want to say it was misleading, but the reason why I was going to say it was going to be a fairly short video is if it was the module, not only is it expensive, but you can have this diagnosed, but you have to have it diagnosed by Stihl. Oh, whoops, put the wrong screw in the wrong place. Oh well. So, knowing that, you can't buy a diagnosing tool. At least, I don't know where to buy one. And even if you could, I'm sure it's probably crazy expensive, and how many times would you ever need to use it? You know? But more or less, that tool just kind of takes all the information provided, and then it will, you know, determine what's wrong to a certain degree, at least for Spark. I've never actually seen one, but the research that I've done points to it. So like I said, unfortunately, you probably need to see this, huh? That's just out of the scope of this garage. There we go. And being out of the scope of this garage, unfortunately, that's just, yeah. But I'm going to fiddle with this a little bit more, and then we'll come back. Try this again. Okay, well, hopefully this helped you out. If you have a Stihl like this, a TS, was 500? No, 500i, then hopefully this helps. I believe this is probably a common problem. I haven't seen it on other things, but probably a common problem in a lot of the I series. So if you have any type of Stihl ignition spark problem, try doing your it's like cleaning points. Basically, it's like a high-tech point. Clean all the connections, push them in. If any of them at all begin to come out, push them out, clean them. I would even recommend kind of soldering them in, the wire into the connector, and then putting the connector back, and make sure that it's secure in the actual housing. So once you're done with that, give it a pull. If not, like I said, you can try to buy that ignition module but it's going to be expensive and may not actually fix your problem. So at that point, you might actually have to have a Stihl mechanic work on it. But this is number 5 I've done, and 4 of the 5 had this exact same outcome. So, you know, so far we're at 80%. That's not bad. Okay, I'll catch you later. Have a nice day. If you like what you see, put a thumbs up. If this helped you, put a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put a comment below. Definitely subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video. Later.